Hello. Today we are going to talk about a very important subject, sexual dysfunctions in old age. Sexual health is an essential part of quality of life at all stages of life, including old age. It is natural for changes to occur in the body as the years go by, but that does not mean that pleasure and intimacy have to end. Be sure to like, share and comment below. Tell us your age to help us better understand our audience. Your participation is very important. So let's get started. Sexual dysfunctions can include men, erectile dysfunction, reduced libido and changes in the time it takes to achieve an erection. Women, vaginal dryness, pain during intercourse and a decrease in sexual desire. These changes can be influenced by hormonal issues, health conditions such as diabetes and hypertension, or even emotional factors such as stress and anxiety. How to deal with this? Talk to a doctor or specialist to better understand your situation. Maintain a healthy diet and exercise. Seek out activities that promote emotional well-being and strengthen bonds with your partner. Consider complementary therapies, such as therapeutic massage or relaxation techniques. Addresses geriatric sexual disorders, caused by a disturbance in sexual desire and physiological changes. Emphasizes the main disorders seen in this age group and their possible causes. Provides bibliographic reports, describing sexual changes and the psychological consequences inherent to those with such disorders. Highlights the importance of information in maintaining the health of the affected individual. In view of this situation, the objective is to understand the physiological changes in the elderly as a normal aging process, how these changes interfere with sexuality and the therapeutic relationship between nurse and client. As a methodology, a descriptive bibliographic study was used, in which the ABNT standards were respected. The authors, with a current interest in the art of aging, sought to study the changes that occur in old age, with an emphasis on sexuality among the elderly. Through this study, we concluded that regardless of age, there is always time to live. And that love, affection, intimacy and sex are elements of fundamental value for a healthy life. Sexual dysfunctions, old age, sexual disorders, nurse-patient. Sexual dysfunctions are characterized by disturbances in the processes that differentiate the sexual response cycle or by pain associated with sexual intercourse. This cycle is divided into desire, a phase consisting of fantasies about sexual activity, excitement, a phase consisting of a subjective feeling of sexual pleasure and concomitant physiological changes, orgasm, a phase that consists of a climax of sexual pleasure, with release of sexual tension and rhythmic contraction of the muscles of the perineum and reproductive organs, and resolution, a phase that consists of a feeling of muscular relaxation and general well-being. Sexual dysfunction, therefore, implies some alteration in one or more of the phases of the sexual response cycle, or pain associated with the act, which manifests itself persistently or recurrently at any stage of life. The proportion that occurs in old age is greater due to the physiological process of aging itself. The main change in male sexual response occurs in the speed at which the erection occurs, since, accustomed to having a quick erection, the idea of having an erection slowly appearing is frightening and frustrating. Sexual changes in women are slower and more progressive due to the decrease in the production of female hormones, also suffering some alterations in both desire and arousal. The authors state that the nurse assists the elderly in achieving sexual health, requiring a counselor for one or both partners. In addition, the nurse can help other health professionals and understand the sexual behavior of the elderly. However, not all nurses feel comfortable advising the elderly on sexual health. The need for assistance from another professional, including a social worker or psychologist, must be recognized. The elderly population is defined as those aged 60 and over. This limit is valid for developing countries, but a cutoff point of 65 years of age is accepted for developed countries, due to their tradition of using these indexes for several decades. Physiologically, this is the phase of decline of organic functions, including sexual functions. It defines psychological age and refers to the relationship that exists between age and capacities, such as perception, learning and memory, which indicate the individual's potential for future functioning. It also refers to social age, where the relationship is observed with the assessment of an individual's ability to adapt to the performance of roles. Menarche is a milestone of the beginning of puberty in women. In aging, there is no biological physiological marker for its onset. The difference between maturity and aging is arbitrarily fixed, but by socio-economic and legal factors rather than biological ones. The inability to measure the phenomenon of aging is linked to the difficulty in defining biological age. Respecting the limitations of gerontology, aging is conceptualized as a dynamic and progressive process in which there are morphological, functional, biochemical and physiological changes that determine the loss of the individual's ability to adapt to the environment, causing greater vulnerability and a higher incidence of pathological sexual developments that end up leading to dysfunctions. With aging, the human sexual response decreases and there is an increase in the incidence of sexual disorders. Among the related factors are hormonal decline, deterioration of social conditions, depressive symptoms and poor marital relationships and erectile dysfunction in men. Sexual libido is part of the psychosomatic reality, insisting on hormonal organicity. The biochemical outbreak of desire is linked to emotional and circumstantial conditions. The stimuli of desire are countless and peculiar to each subject. Among them are tactile stimuli, touching the entire body and especially the erogenous parts, visual stimuli, nudity, clothing and ornaments, auditory stimuli, perfumes, and cognitive stimuli, fantasies and memories. Sexuality is increasingly being recognized as important in the care of the elderly. All elderly people, both healthy and frail, need to express sexual feelings. Sexuality involves love, human warmth, sharing and touch, and not just the act of intercourse. Physiological and hormonal interferences in sexuality in men are presented as the inability to obtain a penile erection adequate for vaginal penetration. This is one of the inadequacies that affect their sexuality. Among others, premature ejaculation and inhibition of sexual desire or loss of libido stand out. A normal erection requires present sexual stimuli, a functionally adequate nervous system. Finally, penile erection is a neurovascular complex, as well as the interaction of psychological, hormonal, neurological and cavernous factors. In male sexual maturity, hormones are essential. Testosterone is responsible for regulating gonadotropin secretion and muscle development. Dihydrotestosterone mediates all other aspects of male sexual maturation, including hair growth, male pattern baldness and spermatogenesis. Androgens are known to act on the hypothalamus, which is an important site for modulating erectile function. Hormones can also modulate synaptic transmission, including the storage, synthesis, uptake and release of neurotransmitters, as well as receptor sensitivity. A growing incidence of erectile dysfunction and desire with increasing age. According to this study, approximately 50% of men will experience some degree of difficulty in achieving or maintaining an erection as they age. This is explained by the progressive reduction in testosterone. Men can continue to have a satisfactory sex life. Changes in the rigidity of their erection and delayed ejaculation can provide a more mutually satisfying sexual relationship between partners. Both can benefit from increased foreplay. Women lose their reproductive capacity at approximately 40 years after sexual maturation, or when they reach about 50 years of age. As women age, they lose the immature eggs in each ovary, and this number approaches zero. It has been observed that older adults have a decline in intellectual functioning, which includes the basic components of information processing and reasoning, but compensate with an increase in crystallized intelligence, content, and contextual elaboration of reasoning and knowledge. In addition, a significant difference in learning for older adults is the increase in time required to acquire knowledge or the ability to retrieve information from memory. Thus, the nurse educating clients must make more effort to transfer new learning material to long-term memory, provide opportunities for frequent rehearsal of recently learned material, and use a paced approach. Regarding sexuality in older adults, there are many common misconceptions about older adults and sex, and nurses are very susceptible to societal myths and anxieties about older adult sexuality. It is assumed that the need to express sexuality continues among older adults, but due to medical conditions, disabling treatments, and the changes of normal aging, this expression may be difficult or even impossible. In addition, partner availability, privacy, and living arrangements are factors that can also alter sexual activity. Nurses are in an ideal position to assess the above factors and intervene to prevent or correct sexual problems or concerns. It is important for nurses to assess attitudes toward aging because they influence nursing care. To provide effective care, nurses need to support positive attitudes toward aging, as negative attitudes can result in a client's reduced sense of security, adequacy, and well-being. Clients in long-term care facilities present a special challenge for nurses. These clients often see themselves as losers, and may be viewed as such by society as well. Nurses can promote independence and self-esteem in clients who feel that life is not worth living. Conclusion: it is important to remember that the elderly will experience the sexual life that they allowed themselves in their youth and maturity. If they indulged and enjoyed it, they will know how to find ways to satisfy themselves in old age. Desires as vital as love and sex remain throughout life. What changes is the awareness of how to experience them. Sexuality is also a source of anguish and contradictions. For men, it is hard to desire without being able to fulfill their desire, and for women, who are often forbidden by culture from the very possibility of desire, to reach old age and not even be desired. The impact of erectile dysfunction on the psyche has motivated the use of a large therapeutic arsenal, always taking into account that success depends on the vital support of the partner, motivation, and a realistic expectation of possible solutions. 3 treatment options are currently used: psychological counseling, clinical treatment, and surgical treatment. All elderly people, whether healthy or with sexual dysfunctions, should express sexual feelings, involving love, warmth, sharing, and touch. Thus, love, affection, intimacy, and sex are elements of fundamental value in the organization of life. It is feelings and dreams that determine our age. What matters is to open up to life and continue to be an eternal explorer in the search for quality of life. The nurse ensures that care is directed towards helping the client maintain sexual health. This requires integration of the somatic, emotional, intellectual, and social aspects of the sexual being. Expressions of the elderly sexuality can serve to promote communication with trust, affection, sharing, and pleasure. By knowing about their physical changes and the transformations in sexual responses, the nurse will be able to help the elderly achieve or maintain their sexual activity, knowing that the main pathology of old age is our idea of old age. Be sure to like, share, and comment below. Tell us your age to help us better understand our audience. Your participation is very important. Take care and see you in the next video.